evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, the largest single-screen drive-in in the United States. We're certainly glad you could be with us this evening, and don't forget the concession stand is open with all kinds of great things to eat and drink.
.3 Mahoning Drive-In Radio, your old friend Virgil back once again for another exciting episode of the podcast. As you guys know, the only podcast dedicated to the love and revival of our beloved drive-in culture, joined as always by my co-host and Mahoning General Manager extraordinaire, Mark. Say hello, my friend.
Hello.
Guys, we just set the ball up on a tee and just whacked that baby hole in one with the launch of the road show at the Union County Performing Arts Center this last weekend. Mark, I gotta say, I said it on stage as well. This was an idea that literally came to me in a dream in the booth, you know? And I was like, what can we do as a active promotional effort in the off season as far as spreading the word beyond what we've been doing, which is hitting conventions, horror conventions, Comic-Cons, local flea markets, things like that, and just tossing calendars at people. That's done wonders for us. But the idea of focusing that promotional effort in to people that appreciate what makes the Mahoning truly special, the 35 millimeter aspects, the fandom events, all of that stuff, the throwback drive-in appeal. These people that we saw on Saturday night at Union County, they are all our people. Mark, why don't you break it down? Because you really did take this seed of an idea and made it into something I could have never imagined. So break down what the roadshow really is.
Well, what's really funny is that the roadshow is exactly something I used to do in my hometown years ago. I realized that after a while. I'm like, this is the old Spooktacular. I used to do a horror host show, and we did these indoor retro horror shows at a beautiful old single screen theater that still had 35. And that's what we're doing. So the whole idea is to go to places that are honestly closer to a lot of our customers than our theater is in our off season, get to see folks, give them a little taste of what they've been missing, but at the same time, maybe hook a few new customers from these theaters that we're traveling to who've never been out to us or have never heard of us or who just want to go out and experience a taste of what the drive-in used to be like. Because honestly, most places you go, there aren't drive-ins anymore, or not easily accessible or not local. It's a long haul to get to them like it is to get to us. So we just pick up various theaters, or we work with various theaters in the Northeast to put on the kind of show we would do at the Mahoning, except it's at a time of year when we're closed and it's indoors. So I jokingly say no mosquitoes, no fog. I jokingly said to you a couple of weeks ago, we don't have to worry about weather. It's indoors. It's great. Yep. And then we were hit with a winter storm warning on the night of our show in Rahway, and it kept a good number of people away. But it also, a lot of people still came out.
It was awesome. Absolutely amazing. Because I thought for sure, this snow was not small. It was ice, sleet, bad conditions. But yeah, those ticket sales were just amazing.
We did substantially better than we did at any of the three that we did last year.
Oh, yeah. It set a bar. And I think, not to jump in on your kind of breakdown, but I think Union County really did set a bar with the showmanship of the show, which is definitely in line with the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. They had a fully curated menu. And, we're known for our specialty menu items and now drinks. And they had a full drink menu, all themed to the Mahoning. They had, what did they have, Mark? The Maddox, the 1949. Very classy,
I've got it right here. So the films we ran, we recreated the original Avco Embassy 1980 double feature of The Fog and Phantasm. So their drinks were named the Barbeau, the Tall Man, the Gopher in Heat, the Yes Ma'am, the Maddox, and the 1949. The last two refer, of course, to Jeff and the year of our theater. But it's like what we do. It's like what Dave does with the pre-show slides, where if you're a fan of these things, you look at that and you're like, okay, somebody here knows their stuff. Somebody here actually likes this.
They are fans of this too. Yeah.
So what the show is you walk in, and for this show, they have a big lobby. They had a food truck outside, which was amazing. It was a brick oven pizza truck. And so you
Oh
go
God.
into, and it was like a short bus that was converted. So you walk into it, and there are booths and tables inside where you can stand or sit and eat. And there's a guy whipping up brick oven pizzas, and the pizza was really good. They had the
So
bar open. They had popcorn, candy for sale. In the lobby, we were vending the new tour shirt from Tom Bafulco and some tour posters and a whole bunch of Mahoning merch. We had Game Wick Games, who often will give away games to us to put into our raffles at the drive-in. He was set up and he sold a lot. He sold a lot of games. Irv Hyatt, who is a historian for Union County Performing Arts Center, had a table. He was selling just a few of apparently the many books he's written about old movie theaters and old cinema. If you want to know about Irv, just listen to a couple podcast episodes back. We had a great chat with him. And Zach from Morningside Goods, who's a friend of the theater, vends at Mahoning all the time, had set up, and apparently he did really well. They had a live organ concert before the show for like an hour with tuxedoed organist playing all kinds of music, which set a great old time movie theater vibe, but it also set a great Phantasm vibe because that's kind of the music that you hear in Phantasm. And then we came out on stage, did a little song and dance, introduced the films, talked about the history of drive-ins, talked about the history of Mahoning, talked a little bit about the movies. That was a lot of fun. As I always say, if you ever would have told me, even a couple of years ago, that I would willingly stand in front of people and talk, let alone on a stage for a couple hundred people, I would have said you're insane. But I quite enjoy it now. And then we went into a pre-show reel that Rob had put together expertly with some trailers that were mine, and then one that was the theaters and some old snack bar ads, and it hit hard. The Rico's ad came up and the place just went nuts.
Exploded. Like I was like, we are so home.
And it's funny because probably half the audience is like, why are they cheering for talking cheese?
What's going on?
And then we went into the fog, intermission time. Then there was an intermission reel from our collection. And then we went into Phantasm after that. But it was so much fun. So many people that we know from the theater showed up. Sergio showed up and took some amazing photos that we'll be sharing online. And a lot of regulars, some people I talked to, they said they'd always been meaning to get to Mahoning, but they never could. And now they've got a taste of it. Some people.
That's the great thing.
Yeah.
You know, if so many people, and this happens all the time when we are out and about, people are like, I follow you. I've been following you for years. Like we're this phantom thing that people will eventually get to, you know? But we were able to bring it like next door. Some people were like, I saw you were coming to town, I was like, this is my chance. It was truly uplifting to see the support, not just from our regulars, but from, you know, just the community, the film community at large, which is what this whole effort was about, was connecting face to face like we do at the lot with the people that truly care and truly will carry us into the future. And you mentioned the lobby. Like, I think the big sell with these classic movie houses that we're playing, and a lot of classic movie houses, is these lobbies that are just like built for like what our concession stand is. That communal aspect, the place you come and, you know, kibitz before the show or after the show. And it was very much a vibe. Like as soon as those doors opened, it wasn't hard to go back in time in that theater.
The vibe felt so good. It felt like our people, but some of it was our people we don't even know. It felt like a Mahoning show. It was just a great energy. And Lynn, who's been our connection there at the theater, she was super happy with it. And we got to hang out a lot and talk with their projectionist, Mark, who will be a guest on this podcast, because he told us just a couple of stories that were just pure gold.
Oh my God.
I guess this year he hits 50 years doing film projection. And
amazing.
He welcomed Rob and Krista were there. He welcomed them into the booth, and he was telling them stories, and they were comparing notes. And I love seeing that too, where they are always hungry to learn more and better their game, so to speak, and pick up various tips from different projectionists who's been doing it forever. And I think he gave them copies of the print reports that he uses because they're different than ours. The coziest booth I've ever seen. There was literal red carpet on the floor.
Very comfortable, very lived in. Like, that's another aspect of this that is really like this. I've been saying this roadshow initiative's the gift that keeps on giving. The fact that we are connecting with the few projectionists that are left, you know, and adding to our our list of people that we can call if we get into a jam, or people that really are supporting the efforts that we are pushing. And like you said, Rob and Krista are sponges. They are sponges. And it was really nice to have them out because they got that love, that roar of applause when people realized, oh, they're in the house,
And there were a few members of the Mahoning, extended family in the house. Rich LaForgia was there. Dave Wright was there.
Yes.
John and Cindy Demmer showed up, which was great.
Yeah, when the Demers walked in, I was like, oh, yes, because it really is a kind of early homecoming. Like, we have to wait to really see all these people until the gates open in April. And when we came to town, it was like, oh, this person's close, this person's close. But I think the most heartwarming moment of the night, at least at the table, we had somebody drive in from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Actually never been to the Mahoning. And he was like, I've been listening to the podcast. I love the podcast so much. And when I heard about this show, I was like, it's too perfect not to do. It was just amazing to get to connect with the people that uplift us. This is why we do this, is we are fans at heart, and everything that we do is like replicating the things that we so wished we could have and loved so much growing up. And to see it connecting with people, just makes it all worth it without a doubt. You mentioned Lynn. Another beautiful factor of this is, connecting with the projection team's one thing, but every single outfit that is 35 millimeter for sure, but really every single outfit that is pushing on the level that we are, it is a group of passionate people that work well together, have found their footing, have found their audience, have found ways to offer things to their audience that really connect. And of course, like, we are really working hard to perfect that on our level as well every single year. So being able to just work with these people and be inspired and encouraged by these people, I think that is just another kind of cherry on top. But I guess we can talk a little bit about the history of the Union County. So I went down there a week early to pretty much check the place out and meet the team. And Irv was there, Lynn was there, Mark wasn't there at the time, the projectionist.
And their team was so good. And we all got along like immediately. It's like we were all like good friends by the end of that night. We were only there for like 4 hours, but it was just, they were so easy to work with. And, they run a different kind of organization than we do, but there's so many similarities with people who put on shows and who run theaters and run film that we all had so many commonalities. It was just like we didn't want to leave at the end of the night.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much an extension of the family appeal that we have on the lot with our crew. We felt really at home. And Irv, of course, being the historian that he is, like, broke down every aspect of the theater as he was taking me on what was almost an hour plus long tour throughout all the different alleyways, corners, tight little spaces of this classic theater, which, from my memory, he had mentioned that it was built to be fireproof because I guess either one of the neighbor theaters had burned down or something like that. So everything in the theater is built to be fireproofed. But when we were walking around, now it's become like a mixture of stage shows, live music, but also like play productions.
Right.
They still have, throw curtains and throw lights and, the whole production of a large single stage or single screen house. So it was really beautiful to just be on that stage. And it took me back to when I was in productions growing up, just that old feel of being able to pull or throw curtains and seeing sandbags there. Like, it was truly retro beyond retro. Their stage had a removable portion up front that revealed the organ. And for anybody who knows the operations of an organ in an old house, so the piping system leads like all the way up to the mezzanine. So at one point, Irv was like, do you feel limber enough to go up and check out the inside of the organ? So I'm like, yeah, why not? So teeny tiny narrow ladder. He goes up first, and Irv, like, he's a monster, like climbs up, goes through this narrow little space that a body could not fit through. Like shoulders couldn't fit through. You had to pivot and turn to be able to get your shoulder width through, and then push yourself up and in. But when we got there, it was like, oh my goodness. You know the scene in Mary Poppins when Dick Van Dyke is playing all the different instruments?
Yeah.
The horn, the cymbal, he's kind of his own working
It's a one-man band.
Yes. So that's the way this organ is set up and can be controlled from the organ. We're talking about drums. We're talking about strum guitar. We're talking about cymbals. We're talking about... It was just, as a musician and somebody who loves this classic old setting, it was like dumbfounding to me. So he was talking about every now and then a little piece of dust will get stuck in one of the bottom parts of the organ pipes, all different sized organ pipes. He said it'll just hum. He's like, whenever I hear that hum, my heart beats because I know I got to go up there and blow into this thing to clear it out. It was just something else. But because they're now a performance space, tons of green rooms. Every single green room had posters of past events and guests. And like, we're talking about the creme de la creme of performers. At one point, we went into what looked like to be a fairly recently renovated room. And he said, this is the Sinatra Green Room, I believe. And the reason they called it that is he had a demand that his dressing room needed to have a bathroom, like, connected to it. So they literally knocked a piece of the wall out to connect it to the closest bathroom. But in that green room, I sent you a picture, Mark. Gilbert Gottfried's show was there, and he told a really great story about Gilbert was the only person that ever demanded a shirt and slacks for the show, for him to wear for the show, and then took it with him. Like, that was in his contract. But yeah, Irv took us up to the projection booth, obviously, which is just beautiful to see other places' operations and how they do things. And yeah, it was just a great day and really a kickoff to this relationship that after that I was like, oh, we're in good hands. Like, this is going to be a great show without a doubt. What other memories you got, Mark?
Well, we talked about the weather, this winter storm, and multiple people saying, I really want to go, but it's too risky. I'm coming from Pennsylvania. I'm coming from New York. I'm coming from wherever. So we were really nervous at how many people would show up. Like, we knew what the pre-sale was like a while ago, and it was a pretty good pre-sale a while ago, but we didn't know until on the day. And people kept coming and coming and coming, and that was great. And I kept saying to everybody, though, I'm like, once intermission hits, there's gonna be nobody left because everybody is gonna be worried about the weather. Like, we'll sit through one movie, but there's no way we're sitting through two with this ice storm and everything that's coming. And I think we retained just about everybody. Like, I was really surprised.
I think a lot of people were there for Phantasm. You really felt the fandom, like at a Mahoning show. There was a great shot of a fan who I know has been to the Mahoning, but he had action figures, and held them up against the marquee, so it looked like the characters were there at the show.
There's a beautiful, huge light bulb marquee, and we had some really good shots of that, which, again, we'll post those online. And you did a lot of video of that tour that you got from Irv before the show, and I'm going to try to put most or all of that on Patreon as a video for the members.
I think that's a huge appeal of this, again, is our audience loves the classic setting. They just love the movie fandom and the kind of gift of cinema that these places are. So it was really nice to just settle in and have it be so inviting and welcoming and have it be such a smash out the gate. We had set an expectation that just like blew it out the water. So thank you guys all for supporting the road show and launching this off. Thank you to the Union County team. Irv, I mean, we fell in love with Mark, the projectionist, as you mentioned. That is going to be a fantastic podcast. Guy, I don't want to give away any of his
No,
stories, but
no. He has so many
yeah,
great stories,
I know.
and yeah, he has great stories. Funny guy, and he was showing me pictures that he had on his phone of him, like at his first job when he worked at a Jerry Lewis Twin Cinema back in the '70s. And he and his father were again. I don't want to give the stories away, but he was great, really top to bottom. Everybody there was a pleasure to work with, and I wish it wouldn't be a year until we go back, which it seems relatively safe to say that we'll be back to do this again next year.
Yes, 100%. And that's what it's all about, is this roadshow effort, connecting to the audience. People have something to look forward to. It is something that has taken on a life of its own now. And I feel that in a weird way, just like the unplanned preparations and skill sets that we sharpened before we got to the Mahoning and use every single weekend, us starting this podcast, has been just amazing with connecting to our people. And this is an extension of the podcast, which was an extension of the documentary. And like you said, we're just comfortable in this type of setting, and representing the thing that we love has been the dream from the beginning. And the support that we feel, it's just so heartwarming. And we got to give out calendars. We
Yes.
spoiled a couple shows for people, but I think that's what it's all about too. People want to come, and so many people are like, so what's the plan for Zombie Fest? Hey, is this person coming back? Hey, when's Mystery Science? Like, that is an appeal of coming to see us and being like, getting the scoop, if you will. But amazing things coming for that month of April. We pretty much rounded out that calendar, and now we're on to May. So lots to look forward to, lots of fun to come. But Mark, why don't you tell people about the shows to come with the road show? Because you still have plenty of opportunities to come out and catch a show, hopefully in your town.
Yeah, we have 8 more to go, although one of them is sold out. And I will say, any of these have the possibility of selling out. Some of these houses are bigger than others. Certainly, the Nighthawk Cinema is the smallest. So if you're thinking about going to the one I mentioned coming up, you should probably get your ticket sooner than later for that. If you go to mahoningdit.com, right off the front page, there is a list of all the shows and ticket links for that. But we'll read them to you while we have your attention. On Thursday, the 20th of February at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. That's the home of the Blob. We have a double feature from 1980 of Dressed to Kill an Alligator. On the 21st at the Highway Theater in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, a single feature of Kill Baby Kill. That's Mario Bava's film from 1966. This print is the rare reissue from 1972. It was part of the Orgy of the Living Dead, a triple feature where they retitled it Curse of the Living Dead. On the 22nd, that's the next night, on Saturday, we're at Nighthawk Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York, with a midnight show of Lamberto Bava's Demons. The 28th of February, Friday, we're at the Philadelphia Film Society's Philadelphia Film Center in, take a guess, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with a sleazy East Coast, West Coast crime double feature of Ms. 45 and Vice Squad. The 1st of March, we will be back at the Somerville Theater in Somerville, Massachusetts, near Boston. We love the Somerville, with a triple feature of Shockwaves, The Funhouse, and Alligator. On the 5th of March at the Ambler Theater in Ambler, Pennsylvania. That's a Wednesday, and that's 35 millimeter film day for a 1976 Nature Gone Wild double feature of Grizzly and Squirm. On the 7th of March, that's a Friday, we will be at the Everett Theater in Middletown, Delaware for a 1966 double feature that actually went out from Universal International to theaters, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken and Munster Go Home. And then the final night of this tour is Thursday, March 20th at Nighthawk Williamsburg with the Deuce Film Series presenting Equinox, and that show is sold out.
Booyah! Yeah, it's been an absolute dream come true. Thank you to our partner theaters. Thank you again to Mark. Thank you to everybody who's really supported this effort. And, on a personal level, this is a great way to break up the off season. The off season is very, very difficult for just my mental state. So being able to see everybody, being able to get social, do our thing, really, really was an uplifter in so many ways. And got to share it with the family. I brought
Yeah.
Fancy out and Virgie, and it's great working that table, but to have some extra hands, like Val came out to a couple of those early shows last year.
Right.
And, just to have an extra person there always helps because really what we want to do is chat it up with everybody.
And Virgie benefited in getting pizza and
Oh,
cookies.
he loved it. Wes and Sarah, regulars at the Mahoning, Patreon members at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, brought us a gift of cookies, a basket of cookies, and Virgie got into those babies. I knew it was inevitable. When they brought it in, I was like, well, me and Mark are going to have to fight over cookies.
I was too full on pizza. I never had the cookies.
That pizza was
That pizza
unreal.
was really good. And it was not even expensive. It was like $15 for a decent sized, like for one, but decent sized pizza, wood fired. Yeah, I would go to that pizza place and get pizza. It was good.
Yeah, and I'll just tease this out there, like the connections that we make certainly like spin into shows.
I was gonna
And
mention that.
we made a great connection. Actually a couple at this event that will spin off into amazing experiences on the Mahoning lot. So again, the road show, the gift that keeps on giving, the podcast, the gift that keeps on giving, the documentary, the gift that keeps on giving, the Mahoning Drive-In is just this haven of creativity. And it's given so much to so many people. It's very easy to love, very easy to represent, and we feel so proud. Like we said on that stage in New Jersey, very, very proud to carry on this legacy for all of those people that came before us that put their heart and their love in it, Jeff and beyond. So it's a blessing. What else do we got for the folks, Mark? I mean, we could talk about upcoming shows all day. I know we're a little tight on time, so we'll save that for a calendar episode.
We do have more episodes coming. This is a little interruption in our flow of episodes that are interviews with people from the theaters that we're doing the road shows at. We have a great episode with Ian Judge from the Somerville coming up, I think, next week. We have a great chat with the folks from the Everett coming up. We have a chat with the guys from the Deuce film series coming up, which is going to be a blast. And we still do have one in the can. It keeps getting pushed back because we're promoting the road show, but we do have an interview with the owner of the Highway Drive-In Theater in Coxsackie, New York, which is a really good time too. So plenty more coming from the podcast. The Patreon is hopping. We're doing the monthly virtual shows for the Simplex members. I just put the episode together. I put the presentation together for our February virtual show on that. Got some fun plans coming up with those virtual shows. And once we get back into the swing of the season for the Simplex members of Patreon, there'll be those monthly 35 millimeter shows. And we've got some really fun stuff lined up for that. So we are not busy in the off season.
Yeah, it's never ending. And I've said it many times on this podcast. We are kind of in the thick of my favorite part of the year, which is dropping key events on people and seeing their virtual brains explode.
Especially certain people like young Clark. Young Clark loves certain things that I know about, and he's always asking about them. And he's a big fan of Shock Treatment. I was trying to remember if we'd announced it yet or not. He's a big fan of Shock Treatment, the Rocky Horror follow-up. And I was biting my lip, not leaking that to him early that we were going to be playing that, but he was very, very thrilled to see that we were running that.
Yes, finally Rocky Horror and doing it in style with Shock Treatment as well on 35 millimeter. People really excited about that. Cohen double feature, Fargo and Big Lebowski. Lebowski is just one of those movies, honestly, we could play it every week and people would come. It's just endless fandom for that movie. The Hitchcock Till You Drop is weekend number 2. Really, there's so much to love. We just locked in a great one for a horror market. And I think more than any other year, we are working with private collectors really across this whole entire country to source prints. It's getting harder and harder to get them from the studios, especially the things that we want to play, So it's really nice to have that seemingly eternal support from the film community and now from the theatrical community as we take the show on the road. So plenty of ways to see us in the off season. I'd say the biggest tip, if you love what we do, follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Also, we have a newsletter, and social media is insane right now in our present state. And a lot of people have come to us and been like, the only reason I'm staying on whatever is so I can get updates from the Mahoning. So we do have a newsletter, and Mark does a great job of notifying our fan base every single time a new show comes out. And the Patreon, I know it is a financial output every single month, but it really is an amazing way to support what we do during the off season and during the season. And those people get the first shot at tickets. They see a day before when shows get announced. So, of course, stay tuned for new event announcements, which are pretty much coming out every other day. So the excitement is happening. All right, guys, we love you so much. We'll see you on the road, or we'll see you on the lot. 35 millimeter for life. Jeff, we love you forever. Take it away, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for coming out tonight to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. We hope you'll come back and see us again real soon. The exit is on the right-hand side of the screen at the front of the field, and most importantly, have a very safe trip home. Good night, and God bless you.